Hey girls, we're going to get started in our series, The Danger of Doors. If you remember, we used the house as a comparison and said that, we are so much like a house that we have doors in our life, and some of those doors we want to open, and some of those doors want to keep closed. And there are doors that God commands us to open and that God commands us to keep closed. So, with that being said, I'm going to set the little house over here and we're going to start our series. I'm pretty excited about this, actually. I'm excited about teaching this to you because I believe that it's very important. It's been very important for me to understand in my life that there are doors that I want to open and doors I need to keep closed. There are doors that God wants me to walk through, and there are doors that God certainly wants me to slam shut. And so, with that being said, we're going to start our series. There will be many doors that we will talk about, but we're going to start with the danger of doors in relationships. If you think about a baby when it is conceived, from that time until the end of life, however that may come, we have many relationships that happen in our life. There's the spouse relationship between a husband and a wife. There's the relationship between mothers and fathers and their children. There's relationship between siblings. There's relationships between friends. There's relationships between aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents, and there are relationships with enemies. And so the Bible has a lot to say about relationships, whether good or bad. And so we're probably going to discuss a few of them from the Bible, but today we're going to start with one. Now, it's a pretty exciting story, actually. There's a lot of drama in this one. And if we get the backstory and really dig into this thing, we can really pull out a lot about the danger sometimes in relationships. Well, with that being said, specifically, the relationship that we're going to talk about today is a relationship between a man and a woman. This is the story of Samson and Delilah. Samson was a true Israelite warrior. The Bible says that he was known for his great strength, and that is physical strength. This guy would have been probably very buff, you might say. And he was known for that all throughout the land. And so because of that, of course, we know how it is sometimes when someone has something about them that is very special. Well, I think I'll just tell you the story. So if you want to take your Bibles and go to Judges chapter 16. Now, I am reading from a King James Bible. You may have a different version. It'll read differently. If it's hard for you to follow along, then you can just listen to, what I'm reading. So we're actually going to start in verse 4. This is going to be a long reading. I'm going to break it up a little bit rather than read it all at one time. So let's start in verse 4 and let's read for a while. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah, and the he that it's talking about here is Samson. So Samson loved Delilah. Okay, so let's just stop there for a second and let's pull from that verse. So Samson loved a woman. It tells us, where she's from in, the valley of Sorek, and her name is Delilah. Okay, so this would be the relationship, a love relationship between a man and a woman. And I understand some of you aren't there yet. If Jesus tarries, you're probably going to get there. But I don't think that's really what we're going to concentrate on. What we want to pull from this is, what did God have to say about relationships and things that we need to watch out for? Okay, so just bear with me. All right, so verse 5. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lies, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. Okay, so we have this woman, and then this Delilah, and then we have this man, Samson. He's in love with her. He's crazy about her. The Bible says that he loved her. So for him to have fallen in love with her, they've obviously already spent some time together. He feels like he knows her. He's enjoying being around her. She obviously would have seemed to be a very kind, to him, very good to him. So he loves her. And then we have these guys in the background who are saying, we need you to go in and seduce him and find out what makes him so strong. And if you'll do that, we'll pay you for it. Let's see what she does. So, verse 6. And Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. So, she's going to take the deal. So, does she love him? Probably not. Definitely not, because she's about to agree to sell him out. Don't forget that. And so Delilah says to Samson, tell me, I pray thee, how do you get your strength? Okay. So let's go to the next verse. And Samson said unto her, well, if they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak and be as another man. So he tells her a reason, tells her, this is how I get my strength. Let's see what happens. Then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. That's craziness. So this is definitely a toxic relationship right here. I mean, this is not good, guys. Here's this man. He loves this woman. She's already saying, I'll sell you out, for this 1,100 pieces of silver. And they make this deal over here on the side. And then she's in here tying him up to do what? To trick him, to, find out, basically to weaken him and to make him not have his strength anymore. All right, so let's keep going. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. So now that we've got these guys in the room, she's bound him up. And so here's these evil guys over here hiding in the room, waiting to take Samson down. And she said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. So then she says, oh my gosh, the Philistines are here, Samson. And so what they're doing is they're trying to see if he's lost his strength. So here's what happens. And he brake the withs as a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. So what happened is he didn't tell her the truth. So, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because remember, we already know that he loved her. So he didn't tell her the real reason. Why? Because he had made a Nazirite vow all the way back to birth. And he was trying to keep that Nazirite vow that he had made with his mother. And we're going to find out where his strength came from in just a little bit. But he knew he wasn't supposed to tell anybody. Because if he told somebody, then they might be able to come in and do something to take away his strength. So this relationship is kind of off right here, isn't it? So let's see what happens. And Delilah said unto Samson, behold, thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound. So then she comes back and says, Samson, you've lied to me. She says, you've mocked me. Please tell me. Oh, please, Samson, please tell me where your strength comes from. And he said unto her, well, if they bind me fast with new ropes that have never been occupied, then shall I be weak and be as another man. So now he gives her another reason. Delilah therefore took the new ropes and bound him therewith and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. So they're doing the same thing again. Okay. So she says, they're back again. And oh my gosh, you've got to see if you can break free. And there were liers in wait, abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. So once again, Boom, he's free because he didn't give her the real reason. Let's go on. And Delilah said unto Samson, Hitherto thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou might be bound. So she says the same thing. Please, Samson, just tell me where your strength lies. And he says unto her, If thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. And she fastened it with the pin and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. So here we go. We've got another time when the same thing. She begs him for the reason that he has his strength. He gives her a reason. Then she has the men waiting in the chamber there. They're hiding. And guess what? Didn't work this time either. And so then she says, And she said unto him, How can you say you love me when your heart isn't with me? Oh my. So now she's putting the pressure on. There'll be times in your life, as you get a little older, that you may be with a young man. And he may put that pressure on you and say, well, if you love me, you'll do these things. So here's a perfect example of what can happen if we do something outside of what we should do or what we're commanded. Let's see what happens. And she said unto him, How can you say you love me when your heart is not with me? Well, you've mocked me 3 times and you haven't told me. And it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death. So now we have in this relationship, remember, he loves her. So now we have this woman who is not just trying to sell Samson out for this 1,100 pieces of silver, but now she's nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging. It says, until he was vexed unto death. He can't take it anymore. He told her all his heart and said unto her, There has not come a razor upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. So remember, I told you from birth he had there was a vow, and it was a Nazarite vow, and part of a Nazarite vow was that they would never cut their hair. So for Samson to remain in his strength, he had to never cut his hair and honor that Nazarite vow. So he should never tell anyone the reason that he has his strength, because if he did, they might shave his head and then he's not going to have his strength. So let's see what happens. Now he's told this woman, after all of this evidence, that this is a bad relationship. It's not like he didn't see it. He knew it was a toxic, bad relationship. But he told her, after her nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging, he tells her. So let's see what happens. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he has showed me all his heart. She says, Come, 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 I have the answer. So then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and brought money in their hand. So they come up and they've got the money. And it says, and she made him sleep on her knees, and he's got his head laying in her lap. And she called him for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. So now after we have the first time that she comes in and says, Please tell me. Then we have the second time, Oh, please tell me. Surely you're not going to tell me lies. Surely you're going to tell me, Oh, you love me. Tell me the truth. And then we have the third time. Each time the pressure gets stronger. And then finally, he can't take it anymore. And he tells her. And then the men come in with the money in their hand and say, Okay, here's the money. Now we're going to shave his head. And that's what they did. They cut off his locks. And then let's see, what is the cost sometimes of a bad door in a relationship? And she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he woke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times before and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. He didn't realize that yet that his hair had been cut. But the Philistines took him and gouged out his eyes and brought him down to Gaza and bound him with fetters of brass and made him a prisoner, and he did grind in the prison house. So let's stop right there. The story has some more later, but I want to stop right there, and I want to talk to you about this. There are many relationships that you will encounter in your life. Some of them will be good. They will be good doors for you to open. But there are relationships that will come and be offered to you that you need to slam shut. And they're relationships like this. But the problem with that is, remember all the way back in verse 4, he loved Delilah. So Delilah didn't come on this way in the beginning. If he loved her, they had to have developed, some kind of attraction. There had to have been, something that made him have that kind of feeling for her. But it didn't take very long for things to go south in that relationship. And then we have this woman who's literally selling his secret that she knows is going to harm him to get what she wanted, which was 1,100 pieces of silver. And I really want to concentrate on this. All the way down at the very end, when he wakes up and he says, well, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to go out and I'm going to have my strength. But it says the Philistines took him and gouged out his eyes. Now, God, that's serious. Gouged out his eyes because his strength was gone, and they knew it. So, what can we learn from that about the danger of the wrong kind of doors in relationships? We have to be careful what kind of people we allow in our life. We have to be careful because there are all kinds of people out there. In this case, this woman was a traitor. There are people who will make us think that they're good. They will make us think that we're safe with them. They might tell us that they love us back, that maybe all along they really have very bad intentions for us. And as we see here with Samson, this relationship ended up terribly at this point because now he's got his eyes gouged out and he's lost his strength, and he's probably not feeling very loved right now. We talk about abuse in a relationship. So this door was not a good, safe one for Samson to open. And a lot of times in our life, in my life, we open the wrong doors to people. And the thing is if we look at this all the way back to the beginning, Delilah didn't come in dancing like a devil. She came in, and whatever it was about her that he loved, well, maybe she tricked him. And the Bible warns us in Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, it talks about deceitful workers and those that come in and masquerade as an angel of light. There are people who will come into our life and they will pretend to really care about us. And in the end, it can be complete ruin for us in our life. So, what do? We have to really pray, and ask God to give us discernment to know the difference between, who's going to be good for our life, who's going to be good for our Christian walk, or who's going to be dangerous or detrimental to our life and to our Christian walk. Um, so I want to give you I want to show you something using the little house. Remember, we have our little house and our door, and right now, our little guy here, let's just call him Larry. Larry's in the house with the door shut, and Larry's in there, and he's just enjoying life, and there's not a whole lot bothering Larry. He's got what he needs in there. He's content. He's got he can lock the door and shut things out, or he can open the door and let things in. And Larry doesn't have a whole lot that has bogged him down in life right now. But let's just say, oh, let's say Susie comes over with some alcohol and says, knock, knock, knock. Can I come in? And Larry opens the door and Susie says, I've got alcohol. You want a drink? And Larry says, I've never been a drinker. And I've heard that, every alcoholic starts with one drink. But Susie says, oh, come on now, it can't be that bad. And so Larry lets Susie in and they get drunk and they have sex. And now there's a baby coming. So, well, now Larry's filled his house up with some things. And now when Larry closes his door, those problems are with Larry. Well, let's say the next day, oh, Johnny comes over. He knocks on the door, and Johnny's depressed. He's suicidal, and he's banging on the door. Let me in, Larry. Let me in, Larry. Let me in, Larry. So Larry opens the door. Oh, well, we can barely find Larry in there because Larry's got a lot in his house now. But Johnny says, I've been thinking about killing myself, and yeah, I'm so sad, and I just, can I just please come in, and maybe we could all make a pact. Maybe we could all kill ourselves together. Let's just do that. That would be great. Come on, come on, come on. Let me come in. If you'll let me come in, Larry. And Larry says, yeah, that'd be a great idea, because now I'm having problems with my friend over here, because we got drunk and now we're pregnant, and so Johnny comes in. And so now, Johnny done fell over. So now Johnny's in the house, and well, if you'll notice, Larry's house is filling up with some things that he probably should have kept the door shut to. Well, a couple days later, he's got some more company. Larry, you home? Open the door, Larry. And so now he's got homosexual Fred. And homosexual Fred says, man, your relationship with her didn't work out so well. Look at all the trouble you got. Well, you won't have that kind of problem with me. Come on, let's just be gay together. Oh, come on, please, 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 Larry. Oh, come on, Larry. It won't be that bad. Come on, Larry. And Larry says, well, maybe we could try it one time. Uh-oh. So now Larry's got some more stuff in his house that he should have kept the door closed to. And so now Larry's in this house and we can hardly even see Larry. Larry's got all these problems. He's got alcohol, he's got sex, he's got homosexuality, he's got thoughts of suicide and depression and anxieties, and he's got all these problems. And the next day, somebody else comes knocking on the door. Keep getting my people upside down. Ooh, now we got a good one. I got my porn king now. So I'm banging on the door. Larry, let me in, man. You gotta see what I got. So Larry opens the door. Uh-oh. I think I got Larry locked in. Yep. Okay. That's all right. We're gonna make a teachable moment. So now we got Larry in the house, and Larry locked people out. He done had it. And so old porn king over here, he just keeps knocking on the door, banging on the door. Come on now, let me come in, Larry. I already know you got all kinds of problems in there, and I got the answer to your problem, boy. So Larry opens the door. And he says, man, I got all these failed relationships, and I've got suicide in my mind. I've got depression. I'm on medications, and I'm drinking alcohol, and I can't even see Larry in there because he's got so much mess. And now his buddy comes over and says, well, I got the antidote. I got pornography. So Larry invites him in, and now we got pornography in the house, and so now we've got sex and homosexuality, and we've got pornography, and we've got masturbation, and we've got suicidal thoughts, and we've got depression and anxiety, and this house is filling up fast to a whole lot of things. He should have just kept the door shut. Well, God looks down and he says, man, Larry's got some problems in his house. And so he sends over somebody who cares. And she says, Larry, I know you're in there, Larry. Larry, come on, open the door. I want to tell you something about Jesus. I want to tell you how Jesus cares about... Come on, Larry. I want to tell you how Jesus cares. Larry? Larry? Larry's got so many problems in his house now that Larry doesn't open the door. And his friend goes away. And so Larry is stuck in the house with all these problems, with all this sin, and all this wickedness. And every day, Larry's winding down. His soul is vexed to death. Remember what it said about Samson? Every day, they're wearing him down, wearing him down, wearing him down. And sometimes that's how we are. Sometimes the people that we choose to have relationships with, I know they can wear you down and make it where I can't hardly even see Larry anymore. Larry doesn't even look like himself. But Larry's got so much in front of him now, filling his house. Where'd Larry go? All because he should have closed the door. So we're going to stop there. And we're going to come back later. We're going to pick this back up. But I think we have a pretty good picture from Samson, Delilah, and the door. There are some things you want to close the door to. There are dangers opening doors to the wrong relationships. Let's stop.